Hi, guys.
Hey,
How's it going?
So this is Keegan and Sophia,
hi, nice to meet
and
you, Calla.
this is Calla, obviously in the middle.
Nice to meet you.
How are you doing?
Okay, not great because I'm not riding my bike, but
Yeah. Do you mind us if we ask what happened?
um, yeah. So I had a bowel obstruction, so my intestines they were getting all clogged up, so they had to take part of it out, and then and they had to untwist parts of it. So the first surgery they did, they found one of the problems, but they never found the cause. And then I went into surgery again, and they cut out the part that was like causing the problems.
Oh
So,
my goodness.
Oh man,
And you're in Salt Lake, right?
yep.
Oh. So Keegan's dad works at the U. He's a nurse practitioner over there. Just in case that's where you are.
Yeah, you're primary children's.
Yeah, I'm at primary children. So,
okay, so
Oh,
it's
okay.
close.
Nice.
Cool. How much longer do you think you'll be in there for before you be able to ride your bike again? And
hopefully, we'll leave the hospital in the next few days, and then probably
okay,
a month until I can get back on my bike
yeah,
at least.
awesome. That's pretty soon then. Must be
Yeah.
excited.
I've been here for 11 days, so it's been a while on my bike. So,
Yeah.
It's a long time.
yep.
How are you feeling with everything? It might be it's a
Yeah.
lot to handle.
I'm definitely exhausted and sore, but it's a lot better than before the surgery.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Sophia, forgive me. I think we know a little bit more about Keegan. Can you tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah. So I race mountain bikes as well, cross country, but I am Argentinian, and I've been in the U.S. I'm 26 now, and I've been in the U.S. since I was 12. I started riding bikes with the NICA program in California. I was like, one of my older sisters was in one of the very first few years that they did that, and I started with that and went to college in Durango, which is an amazing place to ride. I would highly recommend you go check it out someday because it's really cool.
It was really fun.
And then, now we're in Utah.
So do you live down in St. George?
Yep.
Yeah. What's your favorite what's your favorite place to ride down there and your favorite trails and such?
I like Bear Claw Poppy, and
Oh, that one's fun.
there's new trails out by the airport that I really enjoy.
Mhm. Yeah, I've seen those. I haven't been out to check them out yet, but I've heard they're really fun.
Yeah, they're super fun.
They look like they'd be really flowy and like just fun to ride.
Yeah, and you can like make your own ride out of it because they're just a bunch of small trails. So
Yeah, a bunch of
super
different
fun.
options.
Yep.
Keegan's grandparents live in Hurricane, and then you have a cousin in St. George as well. So we're down there like in the fall and winter quite a bit. It's
Yeah, it's fun to ride in the winter.
Yeah, warm.
Yeah, warmer than here anyway.
Warm and dry.
Yeah, the
Definitely.
trails are a lot of fun down there.
Have you ridden Three Peaks?
I haven't. No, I've been meaning to stop there at some point on our way down to St. George. Maybe this
It's
weekend
not.
we're down there doing the
Yeah, next weekend.
Calla race. Did you race there last year, Calla?
Yeah, my last race was there. That was my favorite race. It was super fun.
Yeah, how'd it go?
Yeah, that was actually my best race. I made like 3 goals. One to like get into the top 5 for my age group, and I was able to do that at that race, so that was really fun.
How long have you been riding for, Calla?
I started racing a little over a year ago because at first I didn't enjoy riding, but I went with my family anyway. And then like a year ago, I started liking it and riding a lot more. And then I
Probably more
started,
fun to ride with your friends than it is with your family, huh?
yeah.
No offense, Dad. I know you're back there somewhere.
Oh, good. I can't keep up with her anyways anymore.
Yeah, I imagine she's gotten pretty fast.
So Calla's going through a little setback in her cycling career right now. Have either of you two in your professional careers experienced setbacks, and what did you do to overcome those?
Yeah, I mean, I've had, my fair share of like small injuries and crashes and whatnot. And I think like the biggest thing is just to focus on your recovery and just getting healthy and And then when you come back, obviously you're going to be super excited to ride again. And just like, obviously you're not going to come back to like exactly the same like level of fitness that you were, but like it comes back so quick. You know, you really have to stress about it. After a couple of months, you'll be back to where you were and you'll be having just as good as time again. So, yeah, I think you just got to focus on the positives, you know, go out, work on your skills, and yeah, it'll just be good to be back on the bike, I'm sure, when you get back.
I think like my biggest injury, and I'm very like, I just had I dislocated my thumb at a NICA race when I was in high school, and it required surgery because I tore my ligaments. So I was like off the bike for a good 3 months. You know, it was like something super simple, but I couldn't ride because it was my thumb. I needed it to shift. I needed it to hold on to my handlebars. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, recovery, your body first. Like that's kind of, you can't, like, there's no such thing as you recovered too much, but there's definitely a thing of like you pushed it too soon, you know. And just remember, like, I mean, I don't know what your aspirations are on the bike, but you're so young, you know, and this is a pretty big surgery that you had, you know. So it's just like taking it step by step, and you know, who knows? I mean, do you guys, I heard today that I think this weekend or next weekend at Soldier Hollow, they're deciding if you guys get to do your NICA season, right? Like with the state health department.
Most of NICA this year, but hopefully I'll be able to go to the races still.
Yeah. I mean, we went to a Soho race last year, and the amount of bikes there, like when I was racing high school, it was a really big deal at that time, but it was like the whole lawn that they had was just like a bunch of feedback A-frames just full of bikes. And I was like, my goodness, what lucky kids. Like,
Yeah.
Like I remember like when I was in high school, I was the only girl. I had my sister that was 2 years older, but once she graduated, I was left alone. And when I went to college, I was like, oh, I have girls to ride with. Like my mind was blown. So it's been really cool just to see that aspect on the female side of the NICA, that they have a lot of girls racing and just being on a bike. So that's really cool.
I have one question about racing. So when you do a hard race and you don't do as well as you like and you're really disappointed, how do you deal with that afterward? Like, what's your ways of coping with that?
I think everyone's different, right? Like I get pretty mad at myself, whether that's good or bad. I don't really know, but I think, and then I get upset and like, oh, that was a terrible race and blah, blah, blah. And then like you go back, you try and figure out like what you did wrong. So you figure out what you did wrong, and then you're like, oh, okay, well then what did I do right? And you try and like just focus on the positives, and you like can train the things that didn't go right. Or like maybe it's a mental thing. Maybe you like psych yourself out on this one drop or jump or something. And I think you just need to focus on like the positives really, and kind of move on to the next one and not let it like get in your head too much. Because there's so many factors in racing, you know, like there's other people, there's mechanicals, there's weather, there's so many things. And even if it was out of your control, you might be upset. And I think you just need to just put it in the past and move on, because there's always going to be another race. So
that's really helpful. Thanks.
Yeah.
And I guess also like what I always ask myself at the end of a race is like, did I give it my best? And if I did, then I give myself like a minute or two to be upset about my result, and then I just let it go, because I was like, well, that is the best that I had on this day, and those girls today were just faster and better, you know, and good on them. And just because they beat me once doesn't make them faster than me, and just because I've beaten them once doesn't make me faster than them. And that's kind of the cool thing about racing, is every race, every start line is like a new opportunity, because you can't control what all the other girls do, right? But you can control what you do, you know? So for me, it's like, as long as I gave it my all and pedaled really hard the whole time, then I have to be content with my performance.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, definitely. Any other questions?
So that was like mentally after race. How do you mentally prepare for your races? That's something I can sometimes struggle with. Like,
I mean, that can be definitely kind of hard, especially if it's a really big race, like state championships for you guys, or nationals for us, or world championships, whatever it may be. And I think you have to like kind of focus. Like for me, I like to like make sure I know the course 100%. Like I know all my lines. I feel confident in all the turns. Anything that like gave me challenges in training, like make sure you feel comfortable with those. And then really like you have to race to your strengths and know this is where I'm really good. And then everywhere else, I'm just going to do what I can to like stay with the guys ahead of me. And yeah, that's kind of it. Like you just have to like kind of focus on what you're best at and really really do that. And then for training, you work on what you're not good at.
My mental performance coach told me, because sometimes we all get negative thoughts when we race, of like, oh, I really wish I could see a really sharp rock right now because I want to fit, like I just want to be done, or like, oh, a flat tire maybe would be a little convenient right now. So one of the techniques he's given me is when I just get those negative thoughts when I'm racing is just to like take a deep breath, and then as I exhale, just like picture all those thoughts just coming out with that exhale, and just like it's kind of like a cue for my body to be like, okay, like this is my reset time. I need to get thinking about how to go fast on my bike, not about, like quitting the race or having a mechanical happen, just being a little more present.
Yeah. And then just worrying about yourself and like focusing on your effort. Like if someone passes you like in the first 5 minutes of the race, like doesn't necessarily mean you have to go with them and like blow yourself up. You just need to worry about, okay, here's my pace. I'm going to catch them later. Like, don't worry about it. Just do your thing and like, just go hard. It's really all there is to it, So yeah, just ride your own race. I think that's the biggest thing that people don't do is like, they'll try and ride with someone else who's like better at climbing, and maybe you're better at descending. So you're going to catch them on the descent anyway. So you just have to like kind of do you.
Okay. Yeah, that's super helpful.
What is your favorite part about racing? Like the uphills, the downhills, single track?
I like single track, but I also like just the end, like the sprint finish, because like I know I don't have anything to give, but then I still try and just go.
Yeah,
and
you
like
can
in the last part.
Yeah.
It just feels really good to just go at the end.
Yeah,
definitely does. You're like, oh, like when you feel like you're totally spent, but you can still sprint.
Yep.
Sophia, are you going to be racing in the Olympics for Argentina?
Hopefully.
So you haven't been named to the team yet? They haven't gone that far?
Our Olympic process wasn't necessarily like if you meet these results, you get to go. It was more, they looked at national championships last year. They were going to look at Pan Ams this year, and then how many UCI points we had. And with a mathematical like percentage equation, just mathematically someone wins the quota. But since everything kind of got halted, they haven't really announced how they're going to pick who goes next year. But it's being very likely that at least for the females, we'll have one spot for Tokyo.
All right. Any other questions, Calla?
I don't think so. Thank you so much.
No problem. If you think of any questions, you can always ask us on Instagram or
email, whatever.
Yeah, happy to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. You're welcome.
And heal up. You're tough. Really tough. Tougher than us.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's for sure.
Thank you.
Appreciate everything.
All right.
All right,
Bye. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kate Courtney.
Whoa.
Hey, Calla, meet Kate.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Kate.
Hi.
It's okay. Don't be so nervous. Take a deep breath. You're okay.
I like your braid. It looks great. It's good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
How you doing?
Okay. I'd much rather be on my bike, but
Yeah, hanging in there.
yep.
So I emailed Kate yesterday explaining a NICA racer, a fellow girl NICA racer, is down and out for a minute and needed some uplifting, and she jumped at the opportunity to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Of course, it's nice to meet you. I'm really sorry that you're having a tough year, and I know that this is a huge challenge, but I know also just by looking at you that you are up for it. And it seems you've probably reached the valley, so you're climbing back up to the peak now. And I'm sure that, it's only going to make you stronger for when you get back on your bike. Plus, there's not any racing right now. So if you had to pick a better time,
True.
This is it.
Perfect time. Do it.
We're all sidelined. We're all sidelined.
Do you have any questions for Kate Courtney?
I just want to know, like, do you enjoy being a pro athlete, and like, is it fun? Like, and what's it like doing it?
It's definitely a mix. It's not all just fun, but it is really fun. I love riding my bike. I'm sure it's the same feeling that you have when you ride your bike, and I can always come back to that. So for me, that's, I always try to make sure that every month and every week I have some of those fun rides. I call them my soul rides, where I'll come home, ride with my dad, hopefully Sunday ride with my dog, and reconnect to that fun part. But there's definitely also some challenges. The training days are hard, and it's also a sport that really takes your whole lifestyle. You have to sleep well and eat well and manage recovery. So it's definitely not just like riding your bike a couple hours a day like people think it is, but it's also really fun, and it opens up the world to you. We did about 345, and we rode like 65 miles. So I'm home with my parents right now for a weekend, and we rode with my boyfriend and my dad, and we ended at a pizza place, and the dogs got dropped off. So that was a pretty good day for me.
That's awesome.
Is someone bringing you pizza in the hospital?
Not yet, but hopefully soon when I can eat pizza. I'm getting
Okay.
there.
That's the next goal. The next benchmark is pizza or tacos.
Yep.
Or tacos. I don't know.
Pizza first.
Pizza.
Yep.
Pizza first. Okay.
I have a hard time, like, 'cause I tried one race and I'm used to riding at a really low elevation, and then I tried racing at a higher elevation and it didn't go super well. So do you have any tips on how to train for like high elevation races when you're still in a really low elevation?
I feel your pain. Everyone has that experience. I thought I was going to die at indoor last year because I didn't acclimate, which that World Cup's at 6,000 feet. So it's not even insanely high, but you still feel it. I think truly, we've tried all different kinds of things, and the best way to prepare for a race at elevation. So if it's like the most important race of your life, you have to go to elevation before and be there for 2 weeks. But otherwise, I think, a lot of it is mental. You just have to know that it's going to be really uncomfortable, and that it's going to feel like your body's panicking, and it says like, oh, we shouldn't be doing this. And I think when you can expect that and say, okay, we can keep going, and not kind of like count yourself out just because it's at elevation, I think that you can still have really good performances. But if you want to feel amazing at elevation, you have to spend a few weeks up there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Where do you typically race most? You're in Utah, right?
Yeah, I've been racing. I haven't done a lot of races. I've done some in St. George and in like the Cedar City area. Then I've done like 2 up north, so in Salt Lake area, and those were my harder races because I just wasn't used to breathing like that.
That's normal. You didn't do anything wrong. I feel your pain. But that's a beautiful place to ride. I come out occasionally to see my strength coach, and also Scott's based there, but I've never gotten to come with my bike. So hopefully this next year.
So when did you start like enjoying cycling and like enjoying to race? Like,
Yeah, that's a good question. You're ahead of the game. How old are you?
I'm 13.
13. Okay, so I didn't start mountain bike racing until I was 15 was my first race. So you got a jump start. Those things were separate for me. So I fell in love with mountain biking growing up. I grew up at the base of Mount Tam, which I can see right now. And I grew up riding with my dad, and it was just super fun, and I loved it. And I spent time with my dad on the tandem mountain bike. I always tell the story of going to get blueberry pancakes because it's like the only story my dad and I tell all the time about my childhood, but it kind of captured it for me. Like, I just love to be out on the mountain with my dad. And then in high school, my freshman year, when I was 14 in the fall, 15 in the spring, I ran cross country and I loved it. And I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I will do mountain biking as cross training for my cross country season. And then as soon as I did a mountain bike race, I said, I will never run again. Like, I really want to be a mountain biker. Have you done any running?
A few years ago, I loved running and I did it a lot at school, like just for fun. But then, yeah, I started mountain biking and now I don't run.
Run that you see what I'm seeing
Yep.
here. I was like, it's all the parts that I liked of running without all the parts that I didn't like of running. And then also some fun new parts, like technical skills.
Yeah. Do you have any advice on how to prepare for racing, like before your race? Yeah.
Like race day?
Yeah, and like the night before, when
Night
I always
before.
get like really stressed right before, like the night, and then
Some of that, it just takes experience. And I remember being your age and asking Leah Davison that question. And she was like, experience. And I was like, that's a stupid answer. But it's 100% true. Because it's something where it's like traveling. When you're traveling, if you've never traveled before, you're so stressed about missing your flight. You're stressed about checking your bags. And then once you've done it a few times, you say, sometimes there's a line, sometimes there's not. Sometimes I make my flight, sometimes I don't. I'm okay no matter what, and you have those experiences. And that's how it is in racing. You have to have the mechanical, and you have to be sick one day, and you have to, have the really tough race and the really good race. And then you see that you're prepared to deal with anything that you're going to encounter on race day. And I think some of that too is your pre-race preparation. By the time you make it to the race, most of the work is done. But I think for me, it's finding a routine that makes you feel confident in that preparation. So I'm like a very organized, kind of numbers oriented person. And so I like lay out all my stuff the night before, and I like to make sure I have everything, and I have my like specific pre-race routine and when I'm going to eat and when I'm going to do different things. And I know teammates who've been super successful with completely different pre-race routines. They listen to different music. They wake up at a different time. They're, I've had teammates in the past who kind of like a little bit of chaos on race day morning to think about something other than the race, like, oh, where's my Garmin? Oh, okay, found it. Now I'm ready to go. And I think, you just have to start testing things out and see what works for you. And if something makes you feel really good, then say, okay, that thing I'm going to keep. And then you just keep adding on it. And then you get to a certain point in your career where you have like 1,000 things that you do and you're ready to go.
Awesome. That makes it, it'd be a lot easier if I had a routine to do it.
Just make one up. Just like write down the time of your race and back it out. Say like 20 minutes before I need to be there to line up, an hour before I need to get on my bike, and make yourself a little schedule. And I think that can help with the nerves as well, because you know what you're supposed to be doing at every moment.
Cool. Thank you. And then one last question. How do you recover from a disappointing race? Just how do you mentally recover and not like freak yourself out about it?
It always, it's always tough. It never is like something that doesn't matter, because you care, and that's a good thing that you care about your racing. But I think for me, it depends a little bit on, what happened. There's usually something really, really helpful to be learned from it. Maybe you did something differently before the race, you ate differently, or you didn't pace yourself quite how you wanted to. And I think, those things, I make sure to do strengths and weaknesses for that race. So we always do strengths and weaknesses, whether it's, I won worlds or I DNF'd. Like, we always do that after the race. Talk it over with my coach. I talk it over with my sports psychologist, and we all kind of give feedback, and then we come up with a plan. And I think, sometimes you can have a clear answer of why things went wrong. And sometimes it's just a bad day or something happened that was out of your control. And we have a 24-hour rule on those races. So I'm allowed to be really mad for 24 hours, and my coach usually won't talk to me. And then after 24 hours, like the next morning, it's back to work, and we just like put it behind us. But I think some people make the mistake of trying to just like forget about it and not be upset. And it's okay to be upset. Like, it's okay to be disappointed, but you have to find a way to then reset and say, okay, now we're moving towards the next goal, and take what you learned from it, or just forget about it altogether.
Okay. Yeah, that could have helped me. a few times.
Yeah. Did you have some tough days?
Yeah, I had a tough race a few weeks ago. So,
Uh-oh. What happened? You've been racing. Good for you.
well, I didn't have control over it, and I got like kind of sick during the race. And then we figured out that it has to do with all of this stuff that's happening now. So it's just been pretty frustrating. But then, so.
Well, the good news is that that's something that you couldn't have done anything about. You know, it's not like you didn't try hard enough or didn't train hard enough, or weren't, didn't want it bad enough. Like, you had something out of your control, and the positive news is that's not going to happen every time. They're solving the problem.
Yep.
Hopefully they're going to solve the problem. You're going to feel better, and that's not going to happen again. So I'm glad you're able to leave that one behind.
Yeah, I am too.
All right, Kate, thank you so much for your time. We know you're a busy person. Congratulations on World Championships. We wish you the best in Tokyo. And thank you so much for
Hopefully we'll
being
get
part
some
of Calla.
races soon. I'll try to get some races so you can watch them during your recovery.
Awesome.
But either way, I wish you a really good recovery, and I hope that you are feeling better soon, and I know that you'll be back on the bike before you know it.
Thank you so much.
Of course. And thanks for organizing this, Brandon.
Oh, no problem. Good to see you again, Kate.
Awesome. Good to see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Of course. Feel better.
Okay, thanks.